Hey everyone, it's Ryan1940 here, and today we're taking a look at Sea Power Naval Combat in the Missile Age. This is a user-created scenario called Operation Intercept. It's kind of bugged right now while I'm trying to film this, and it's too bad because I really enjoy this mission, and I guess I'll just have to kind of explain it without any of the briefing or the check-ins, which I really like, the check-in and check-out of the P-3. This scenario has us detached from the Eisenhower strike group, and our little task force is set to try and find a USSR task group that has left Vladivostok and is heading towards Guam. So we need to try and intercept where they're at. And the mission's called Operation Intercept, and it's by iBlank. We have one P-3 that'll check in eventually, and then we'll get to use it for a few hours, so I think 4 hours and 30 minutes or something like that. And within that time, we have to use the P-3 because it's going to check out, because it's got to go fly back to the Philippines. So I like this mission because I don't have to babysit the P-3 coming and going. It's also nice, like a nice short kind of scenario where you want to get a SAG versus SAG going and not spend 3 to 5 hours. Like some of these scenarios that people create are just so crazy and massive that I just simply don't have the time to enjoy them. So I really appreciate smaller missions like this. Let's go take a look at our forces here and kind of figure out how we're going to work with our MCON and what our formation is going to look like. So we got the Mississippi here as a Virginia-class cruiser, and it's got SM-1 MRs, Elrod, my favorite class of ship, the Oliver Hazard Perry class, SM-1 MRs again, so these are 24.68 nautical miles for the range. This one, the rate of fire is a little slower because it's not a dual arm. And the Kid, same thing, SM-1 MRs, so 24.68 nautical miles. So kind of just make everything. I wish we had a tool to just do this for us, but I always draw out the range for the air defense. Okay, so we'll do 24.7. That works. 24.7. Okay. 24.7. Alright, and the final guy here, this is an older Leahy class. This has the RIM 2F, so these guys go 40 nautical miles. So the thought, let's go look at our formation here because we'll have to assemble everybody together here. Relative positions, we want that turned on. Elrod is going to be the missile sponge up front there. Kid will just kind of space out like that. So this is kind of a line of stern, and Yarnell will just be offset the Kid. It depends on how we're going to encounter the enemy force and how we want to get our missiles on them. That's gonna factor into where Yarnell's gonna be. So it's possible that Yarnell, when we're sailing, and if we come across the enemy on this side that Yarnell's on, I'm just gonna have him hop over the other side, so that we're not at risk of being in the middle there when these guys fire off their anti-ship missiles. I don't know when the harpoons actually, when their active seekers turn on, but I know for the TASM missiles that the Mississippi has, I think it's like 20 miles when you launch. If you're underneath 100 nautical miles from the enemy, that seeker's just going to turn on. So it's entirely possible in this formation, if we're not paying attention, Mississippi can accidentally have the Elrod targeted, or if one of these guys is 20 nautical miles ahead, they can be targeted as well by the missiles. And we don't have control over that, right? Once those active seekers turn on, they find something, they're going to blow it up. So be mindful of that, and you might have to clear the line of fire there. So we'll work with that for now. This should give us some decent coverage all across the board. We'll let everybody speed up. While we're doing that, we need to look at Elrod. Now we've got the towed sonar. It says that was interesting. It looked like it was out, but it wasn't checked marked on as deployed. Huh. Okay, I don't know what's going on. Alright. Anyways, I want to have it above layer because if we're going to be at MCON trying to find the enemy task force, we can use every sensor available to us, and passive sensors, passive sonar sensors aren't going to break what we're trying to do with MCON because we're simply listening to stuff. We're not radiating anything. Okay, so we're above the layer. Can I say deploy? What's going on? Oh, I see. Yeah. When I adjusted the formation, what's going on here is LROD's sped up to 29 knots, and this game is kind of realistic where you can't stream, I think, beyond 25 knots. In real life, there are speed limitations of doing that kind of stuff because you can put too much pressure on the towed equipment as you're streaming it out or taking it in, so you got to be mindful of that. They're all different numbers, but yeah, that's pretty cool. They modeled that idea in this game. So, okay, we'll deal with that later, but it should be above the layer. And I said above the layer because, you know, we're looking for contacts that'll be on the surface of the water, so we should be able to, if they're putting out a large amount of noise into the surface duct, then we'll pick it up with the towed array. So, we'll let this go. It's unfortunate the pop-ups aren't working because this I thought was a great scenario to teach you about working with the MPRAs. The Maritime Patrol Reconnaissance Aircraft, we call them MPRAs, but it's funny because I always call them MARPAs, and that's not how the acronym is, but it just rolls off the tongue easier. The way that this scenario is going, if we look at our waypoint here for Mississippi, the formation leader, it's got us coming up here. And okay, so we would have got a check-in message if all this stuff was working properly. I don't know what's going on with it right now. We'll slow it down because I don't want to waste time with the asset that we've got here checked in. We're expecting some sort of USSR task group that came down from Vladivostok, and they're trying to go to Guam. So Guam's over here. So I'm just gonna, and there's some islands here, so I'll just do some simple barrier patrol here with the aircraft, and we'll see what happens. Yeah, we should have got a message too when Dale would have told us they were checking out. So yeah, we'll do that. What I like to do when I've got the surface forces moving, but I'm going to be working on a lot with like an MPRA, the P-3 here, I like to mark with the ruler there. Oops, we don't want that. I like to draw out our course, so this way when I'm working with the aircraft I kind of know where the ships are trying to go and kind of factor in piloting this plane around everywhere. Now I want to take this up to cruise altitude, take that up to cruise speed, and we'll just double check the sensors. So the surface radar is on. This has a range of 150 nautical miles. If you don't know that stuff, you can just click on this because obviously no one's going to commit all this stuff to memory unless you're a weirdo like me. So with that knowledge of 150 nautical miles, what we can do is use our circle, pull out 150 nautical miles. This is going to help us figure out our searching. Okay, let me pause this. Now I said I wanted to do some sort of barrier patrol going this way, so you can just take the edges of that circle, with the range circle there, kind of aim it to where you want to go. So let's say we want to go cover this area. Yeah, that's good. See, I don't want to cut it too close where it's overlapping the ships a lot because, you know, we have helicopters we can use from the ships with the Sea Sprites. They have radars that go 75 nautical miles, so they can see some. I kind of want to check the area out, like a huge swath of the area in front of the group so that I know they're safe. So we'll do that. This is kind of like rough drawing, but now we know if we fly here, we can cover basically this amount. And so 10:30, we didn't get that because the pop-up didn't work right now for some reason. It worked in the morning when I played this. And I've been playing this mission a lot because I really like it. Once again, that's Operation Intercept by iBlank. It's on the workshop, so you can download it. I like this mission a lot because it's a quick scenario to play with an aircraft and ships fighting each other. So 9 o'clock covers all this area. We have till 10:30, and then he's got to check out to go back to the Philippines. So we're not going to waste any time. We'll have him go search. So you see, this is what I'm talking about. Unless we clicked on the ships, we wouldn't see their waypoints, and it's kind of nice if we were able to tell it to show the waypoints, because small unit numbers like this is not going to be messy. It's kind of messy if I keep having to draw things and stuff like that. Alright, so we've got an EM emission. What's this guy doing? 10 knots. It's a single person or a single ship out there. We'll take a look at it because they're not getting any sort of air search radar yet. Okay, they've got radar echo. See how that crossed into the radar range, and we've got a radar echo. So very large. That's either going to be a giant combatant capital ship, or it's going to be a giant cargo ship. So it's going 10 knots by itself. It's probably not going to be a giant capital ship, combative ship. All right, we've there are some combatant ships out there. Okay, what we'll do is we're on a collision course for them anyways. We're gonna pass right over this guy, and it's probably gonna be a merchant. And what I'm gonna do is also draw his track out. I'm not gonna click on him because if the track fades, these lines, if they're attached to them, just go away, which kind of sucks. Now this kind of looks messy, but what this is doing is, if I'm gonna fire anti-ship missiles that potentially will turn on, 20 miles after they launch, if we're under the range, I don't want them to hit the merchant on accident, so I have to be cognizant of the lines of travel that they're going down. Okay, we've got another one, so we'll figure these guys are, I'm assuming this is probably the hostile group. We'll overfly him, so we'll identify him really quickly that he's a merchant. Yep, visual, very large merchant, good to go. Alright, so we don't got to worry about him anymore. We'll overfly this guy really quickly. And once we get a better, you see how that range shows us that, and then all of a sudden he becomes a radar echo. So this is kind of good because then you can kind of see all the coverage you got. Of course, this is when you're at high altitudes. If you're at lower altitudes, you might miss some of that. Now this doesn't have to be perfect. I'm drawing this course line out as well. I'm assuming this guy is probably a merchant as well. Radar echo large, could be a single combatant, but it's unlikely. We've got 3 over here. We'll clear him to make sure he's good, and then we will figure out what we want to do with our surface fleet. So we already know one's a Cresta. Let's move some waypoints here. Alright. For this kind of stuff, I would highly recommend you look at their unit reference and then you figure out what the SAM ranges are, because I'll show you why that's important. So this guy goes 16 nautical miles. Pulled out way too much there. Okay, that's good. Alright, that's a merchant too. Okay, so we've got, these are the merchant tracks coming out this way, coming out that way. Still don't know what these other 2 are. It's a very large radar echo and some sort of emission. Let's pause this and take a look. Okay, so it's either going to be a Slava or a Kirov. It's not going to be the Orel. It's not in this scenario. The Kirov and the Slava, I think, both have the same air defense systems. Let's check that out really quick. So we'll go down to Missile Cruiser, and then we'll go to Slava class. So these guys have the SAN 1s. 16 nautical miles. Oh, that's not it. There we go. Yeah, okay, so these guys are the 50 nautical mile ones and the 8.1 nautical mile ones. And I think the Kirov's the same thing. Yep, 50 nautical miles and 8.1 nautical miles. So we don't really need the full ID for this yet to know what to draw for the range rings. I'll let this play out. All we know is the most important thing is to not get in within 50 nautical miles of this large, very large contact. So we'll pull that ring out. So even if it's a Slava or a Kirov, this threat still goes out this range. Doesn't matter if it's either or. Now they also have the other air defense missile that goes 8.1 nautical miles, so we'll pull that out. Wanted to do this because we'll see, once we figure out what this guy is, the weakest point to pump harpoons into. We're going to try to find the spot where we can get the harpoons in, where it's got the least amount of overlap or minimum amount of overlap time before the missiles would hit. And that'll make sense when we figure out what this guy is. Okay, so we can close these guys, and we'll just kind of hover around the 50 nautical mile range here. Speed this up a bit. Okay, I'm gonna want. Yeah, okay, this path is still pretty good. Eventually, the surface fleet's gonna have to swing to the left here, to the port side, and we're gonna. This way, Yarnell will stay out of danger. I don't want Yarnell to be in between us as we exchange anti-ship missiles. If that's the case, if they're providing us air defense, I want them to be on the opposite side so that these guys would sponge up the missiles. And also, if we need to return fire, stuff like that, Yarnell's not going to be in the way. Alright, cool. So we know that this is Krivak 2, unit reference, and that's a Slava. Okay, perfect. So 8.1 nautical miles. So that's the only real anti-air missiles it's got. Now this is the same system that's on the Slava. It's just the Slava's got that other one that's like the S-300 equivalent, so it goes 50 nautical miles plus this one, and Cresta's only got the one that goes 16 nautical miles. So if we look at this and think about it, the Cresta can provide coverage for the Krivak and Slava because it's got 16 nautical miles, right? The Slava has the shorter range missile as well as the one that goes 50 nautical miles. We won't think about that yet because the harpoons basically are going to come in so low that 50 nautical mile range is not going to be significant because it's not going to be detected yet. The missiles won't be detected because they'll be so low. And so this guy's got the 8.1 nautical mile missile system, so that's going to cover this circle here, and the Krivak is this circle here. So it barely covers the Cresta. If I was to come from some sort like this direction, it's probably the weakest point. If I was to come and shoot at the formation from down here, look at this. I've got to deal with the missiles from the Cresta, this massive ring. I've got to penetrate through that, and then Slava is going to be able to fire at us once we get into this ring. But Krivak's going to be able to defend herself, and then as we get to the final bit here, then the Slava's going to start helping out. But if I come in from probably this angle, there's not a lot of overlap here, so Slava can help out a little bit, and then probably, what distance is this? This has got to be less than a mile. Okay, it's 1.4 nautical miles. So if I was to penetrate this, Slava could help a little bit. And you know this distance right here is pretty short. Slava can help, and the final 1.45 nautical miles, the Krivak can help. So really, it's not enough time for them to get a missile over there. I don't think so. So this looks like the weakest point, and it's good to identify that because now I know where to put my aircraft. So with aircraft, it's a lot better than the ships because you have a lot of control over where that axis of attack's going to be. Look, ships just move so slow. It's like I can't very quickly decide, hey, I want to attack on this side or this back corner. This will take many hours to do that in the ship, and it's taken us 20 minutes to get over there, or 10 minutes basically to get over there. So we'll speed it up actually. Alright, they've launched some helicopters. We're not going to launch our helicopters just yet. I'll talk about that too, because I think in the future some of the stuff will change with how the AI is thinking about you, and some things you'll have to consider when you're operating the helicopters. Okay, so I want to launch at the Cresta. If I could eliminate that, then it'll just make our life easier, because we've just got, there's no longer this big coverage bubble. There's just these two guys with short-range missiles trying to support each other. They're pretty close, so that they can kind of do that. But at least just getting one ship out of the fight is good. And if we get lucky that one of the missiles goes after the Slava because she's so big, that'll be great too. But we'll see what happens. It's hard to kind of predict what's going to happen here. So you can see we're going to pump these missiles. The angle doesn't have to be perfect, but I do want this angle. Because look at that. It's going to be such a small amount of distance for the Kravac to help, and I don't think that she can launch missiles fast enough at the max extent of her range to stop any missile coming in that range from hitting the Cresta. So it's really going to be up to Slava and the Cresta to protect themselves. We'll see how this goes. Take a look at the formation ranges here. Now, you know, I can delete this stuff. I really wish, if you use the delete key, it'll delete waypoints, but you can't use the delete key to delete these drawings that you make. You have to click on this eraser and do the same thing a million times. All right. Oh, they've all gone for the Slava. This is not good. Not good. I play this scenario a lot, and sometimes you'll get all of them going to the Cresta perfectly. Other times you'll get some going to Cresta and maybe one or two will go for Slava. When they go to Slava, they're running that big gauntlet, so they often miss. But this is a great result. Slava's wounded pretty badly now. This is amazing. The biggest threat we had right here was all her missiles. What are those? I think those are the shipwrecks on the Slava. Let's take a look. I think they are the... Oh no, these are the sandboxes. So 297 miles, we were certainly within range of that. Okay, they're all in TASM range right now. So now we've got this P-3 going for couple more hours before they check out. Now I wanted to also point out, when you've got these ships on radar, you can see their track. If you were to attach this to the Slava though, or whoever, and the track drops out, that marker's going to go up. So I want to always draw behind them, just like with the merchants, and I also want to draw their course out, just like the merchants, because if that track goes out, if we lose radar coverage for whatever reason, I'm going to want to know generally what direction they were heading when we last saw them. Okay, you can see a lot of circles and lines here. It looks really messy, but this will help you out when you start losing radar contacts. Okay, let's see here. So we've got the merchant tracks kind of moving down there. That's still kind of good. Okay. Now I think I can get rid of this because we've already figured out where we wanted the search to kind of help the ships out, because we've already found a ship and have damaged it. I think, yeah, Slava is not in a good way right now. Almost feels like cheating looking at the ship being damaged like this, but I like seeing these ships burning. Okay, so let's figure out what we want to do with our guys here. If Slava goes under, if they can't control that fire, then it's just Krivak and Cresta. Let's take a look at their... The silent, that one's not a really good anti-surface missile, so really we don't have to... This is underneath the... yeah, 27 nautical miles. That's outranged by our harpoon, so not a big deal. Cresta, what do you got? This is a cruiser, so it should have something bigger. Yep, there we go. So 242 nautical miles. Cresta is the bigger threat that we'll try to target. We can try and cut over. Yeah, we can try and do that. So we'll have to move. Yarnell will move over the side. We'll just pull the formation up this way. Bring everybody up to full speed. Oh, actually, I don't want to do that because I talked about this before. When we're changing the formation around, you've got to be mindful of what the formation speed is, because if you set your speed too high and you tell somebody to move over somewhere, they're going to have a hard time doing that because they can only go flank. They can't magically go faster, and if you're going full speed, then their overtake is so slow it's just going to take them forever to get on station. So we'll just go to standard while that's happening. So Yarnell's going to move over on the other side. This will clear the this line of bearings to shoot over to the port side when we cross over these guys' track. Alright, looks like Slava's dead, so that's great news. We just got to take care of that Cresta, and the Krivak will just be really easy to kill. P-3 is going to check out soon in 30 minutes, so we need to start thinking about our helicopters. Our Oliver Hazard Perry class is up front, which is great. Now we can launch ferry mode. So being up front is pretty good because then it's quicker for them to get on station. They can only see 75 nautical miles with their radar, so it's not as good as a P-3. Certainly not as good as the Soviet helicopters. They've got, I think one of them has the big bulge on, I can't remember. One of them's got the big bulge, I think, and the other one's got the wet eye. And those are pretty good. I think they both go, like one goes 150 nautical miles like the P-3, and the other goes like 200 or something nautical miles. And these are on helicopters, so they should be able to see us. Alright, let's speed this up here. We want to get that helicopter out there because this guy's going to come off station eventually. And what I wanted to talk about with the helicopters is, right now, you can totally do this where you turn on your sensor, surface search radar, and then you change the height to 10,000 feet and start your search. In the future, I think what's going to happen is the AI is going to become smarter. And if they've got the air search radar going and they see you pop up all of a sudden at like a spot, or they just, even if they don't have their air search radar on, if they're just using ESM and picking up your surface search radar, they should know that there are ships probably in that area because helicopters don't magically come out of the ocean, right? So be mindful of in the future if and when that does change. You don't want to pop your helicopter up right over your ships. You want to fly them out a little bit and then raise the altitude and have them turn their radars on. Doing it too close to the ship is just going to invite disaster once the AI gets smart enough to identify, hey, helicopters don't magically come out of the water. So right now you can do this though. You don't have to worry about it. It's not a thing in the game yet. But if it does happen, it's going to be painful for a lot of people because I see people just, I mean, I do it too. We just turn it on right when we take off and just forget about it. Alright, so we'll fly out that way. I said this guy has the range of 75 nautical miles, so let's pull that out. 75, good enough there. Yeah, so I want to cross this. Once I could clear the Cravac with the Mississippi's TASM salvo, then we'll be good to go. So Mississippi's got to get probably up here to fire the TASMs and not go for the Cravac. Okay, looks like the P-3 checked off station. It used to have a message that popped up. It was really cool, but it just doesn't seem to work. It worked in the morning, so I don't know what's going on, like what version changed, because I thought it was the final version that was released. Oh, I don't know why that didn't take. Okay, you see when the radar contacts die out, all those circles we drew on them are just gone now. So this is why I draw a ruler line behind them so that we still have this track. So I still know that they're probably going this course, and that's how I'm planning everything out right now. So it looks like Yarnell's hopped over. That's good. Oh man, this merchant. We're gonna have to do something about this here. Let's pull this over here. Yeah, I don't trust the merchants in this game. It cause chaos amongst your formations. Alright, so as long as we don't get within 16 nautical miles, if we remember that was the next greatest SAM range that this task group had. And then the Cravac is 8.1 nautical miles, so we can get kind of close to this guy and not worry about it. The bigger threat is the helicopters just flying around. I think right now still at MCON they cannot identify you unless they do it visually, or positively ID you unless they do it visually if you're not transmitting anything. So if we stay at MCON here, they're not going to see us until they actually see us visually by flying right over us or really close to that. Just want to clear this direction out to make sure there's no helicopters coming towards these guys yet. These guys can't, there's no air search radar on them, so they're just, it would be something that they're detecting on ESM, or if they are, okay, that's the merchant. See, that's why it's good to have that line, so you can kind of correlate things there. It's not perfect, but you can see that it helps us figure out where the merchant is. Alright, it seems like there's no more helicopters out here. Okay, this guy's fuel range is dwindling. Elrod will have to send out another helicopter. It'd be kind of cool if these lights were, they wouldn't have them on in combat, but like normally when you're not worried about combat, these lights are, I think, like orange, and they floodlights for the flight deck there, and there's usually a bunch of people like standing around here for flight quarters on the Oliver Hazard class. They'll usually be bundled up over here and wait. And these lights they're usually like, I think, a whitish, greenish color. These lights don't exist. There's another set of lights that's normally up here. There's like 3 of them. 3, I think, orange or red lights. They're the HIFER lights, the Helo in-flight refueling lights. So when they have the capability to do it. I don't know if the SH2s could. I'm sure they could. The SH60s could. there's a spot over here that the helicopter would kind of hover off the deck, or right over the deck on this side. They'd lower a line, and then they'd pull this line back up, and attached to it would be a fuel hose from the ship, and then they kind of pull off to the side here and line up and just sit there basically refueling next to the flight deck and not having to land to do that. It's a lot easier to just land and do a hot pump and then relaunch, so that's normally what happens, but they have the ability to refuel without having to land. Alright, so we'll pretend that we're worried about the AI figuring out where our helicopter is, so I would like to just fly this helicopter out a little bit, low altitude. Alright, so we're about 50 miles away, so we'll go ahead and pop the radar on, gain altitude. It looks like those ships are not budging, leaving the Slava's side there, so we're gonna put them out of their misery, I guess. Almost in range. Yeah, I'm just gonna I'll fire off the TASMs now. So we'll do that ship against the Krivak. Probably 6. So we'll do 4, and then 2. Love it. You'll see they'll start to wiggle, and that's when I think they're starting their active seeking. I'm curious what range that's going to happen. There it goes. So about there. Okay, so that looks like 30 nautical miles out. So keep that in mind. If we were to fire this direction, they would pick up the L-rod and they would destroy her. Alright, we'll watch the L-rod. Just getting into harpoon range soon. I don't like using this guy for harpoon barrages because just the times in between each individual launch is kind of high. Well, let's watch these guys do their work. So if everyone's staying still, Krivak should be somewhere over here and should not have a lot of overlap to help the TASMs get shot down, but we'll see. Yeah, she is firing some missiles there. Let's look at this without any of that stuff. Oh man. Yes. Oh yes, you love to see it. Nice. So if Slava was still up and all of the other ships were still up, if I was doing this attack, I'd want way more missiles. 6 did seem like just barely enough, but I think 4 would have done it. The problem is you don't want to get so stingy with the missiles, because if you go too low, they'll always shoot them down, and so you'll have wasted that salvo trying to fine-tune it. So 6 was good here. I think the mutual help from this guy was just really minimal. If Slava was still up, though, it would probably take a lot more. It would have been at least 8 for me to feel comfortable doing that. And even then, I think firing 8 with Slava still alive, we'd probably maybe just get 1 hit. It would take probably a huge harpoon barrage to overcome everything. So it's good. We got our second guy. He's going to die. He's still alive right now, but we'll have to figure out how that Krivak is doing, where it's exactly at. So we can get pretty close to the formation now. This, assuming Krivak did move, as long as we stay out of this general range, we should be okay. Go ahead and speed things up again. Let's finish this off. I don't understand why this guy is not picking the crevasse up. Oh, there it is. Okay, well, we gotta be careful. Okay, they're moving, so that's good. Let's slow it down here. We should be in harpoon range now if she's moved up that far. We'll wait till the helicopter comes around and we should get a better ping on this. No, not gonna come around. Come on. Okay, 17 nautical miles, so from the Kid, 64. Alright, we're in harpoon range. I think 4 is gonna do it. Could be wrong. I just said not to fine tune it, but we'll try it out. We'll see how it goes. She's by herself and she can only shoot 8.1 nautical miles out with the missiles. You should certainly get lucky with gun systems, but I don't know if that's going to happen or not. Now this ship, I don't think can really touch us anymore until it gets within 20-something nautical miles. If we look at the unit reference, surface ships. Oh, sorry, that's a frigate, isn't it? Crevasse. There we go. Yeah, 27 nautical miles. That's basically it. I think these guys can do a surface mode, yeah, but the range is just so short, so. Alright, we don't need that radar range anymore. We can just have the helicopter bug out. Look at this mess. Yeah, I really wish there was a filter thing for, you know, map layers, contact range circles, weapon seekers. I wish there was just one for our air defense ranges that we can just toggle on and off. Maybe, I don't know, maybe like transparency fills or something, or just the circle just works as well. Alright, let's take a look at this. Crevasse meeting her demise. Oh, it's over. One missile down. No, what are the other missiles doing? Oh, okay. I thought they were going towards the hulk of the Slava or something. There we go. Wow, a couple of them got taken out by, I think, defensive electronic countermeasures. Okay, she's taken at least one hit. We'll see if this fire causes any massive secondaries. Go ahead and speed that up. Yep. Alright, fire spreading. She's getting pretty heavy in the stern there. She's probably going to flounder soon. Oh, she's taking on a lot of water. There she goes. Yep. Alright. Well, that was fun. See, like I said, this mission isn't really long. You can sit here and play it under an hour, and I think sometimes I've gotten it closer to 30 minutes. And it doesn't, even though this will spawn, I think, it's not a dynamic spawn, it'll always kind of happen like this. It's a good mission to try out different search techniques and to see how you can do with your MCON positioning. And also your salvos, you can test your salvo theories that you've got. Yeah, I really like this mission. So thank you to iBlank for making it. It's called Operation Intercept. It's on the workshop. You can download it. I've played this a lot already, and I absolutely love to. It's going to be in the future when the AI gets better, because right now the AI is not very good up against counter-detecting me. This should look really suspect, right? You see, with their helicopters should see this and be like, what's going on there? And then they should want to close, and when they close, that's going to force me to do something about it, because I'm going to have to shoot them down, or they're going to visually identify me, and then I'm going to be in the range of some of their nasty missiles. So when we get that kind of behavior, I think that's really going to change how challenging some of these simple scenarios are. And this is not a really crazy scenario, and that's why I appreciate it a lot, because it's exhausting to click through a million different aircraft and manage 4 or 5 different SAGs in this huge, gigantic naval war in a single mission. So I enjoy missions like this. So if you got missions like this, send them my way. I'll check them out. And if you have any questions, comments, leave them below, and I'll try to get to them. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye.